As a beginner, especially in ambient, I know how difficult it can be to take your first steps. What synths do I need to buy? What DAW do I need to use? The truth is, things like that don't matter as much as actually learning the basics so you can get started making actual tracks. Even if you're not a total beginner, sometimes it's important just to go back and brush up on your fundamentals so you can move forward with more confidence in your next steps. So if this sounds like you, I've got a video for you. In today's tutorial, created for the absolute beginner, we're gonna take just one sample and start to build our track from there. In a genre like ambient, that's all about movement and space, you definitely don't need things to be complicated. So with that in mind, we're gonna start building our track from scratch. A few things before we begin. If you enjoyed today's video and would like more tutorials for ambient, many of which are extremely helpful for beginners, you can sign up and join my Patreon where you'll find tons of tutorials, a treasure trove of presets and samples, and so much more. The link is down below in the description. If you're new to the channel, welcome in. My name is Chris from Signs of Life, and I'm a professional ambient music producer, content creator, co-founder of Synphaera Records and Exosphere. And if you'd like to hear music that I personally created, I've just released a new album called Portal to Transcendence. So if you'd like to support me, and you can purchase this album on Bandcamp, the link is down below in the description as well. That being said, let's get into the video. Make sure you smash that like button on the way in, get subscribed, cheers, and enjoy. This video is made possible by the Signs of Life community on Patreon. Are you ready to take your ambient skills to the next level? Or maybe you're just starting out and looking for more tutorials for the absolute beginner? On Patreon, you'll not only find tons of exclusive tutorials and presets, but you'll also find videos on specific topics such as mixing, compression, arrangements, ambient textures and layering, and so much more. If presets and samples are your thing, you'll also find over 70 Patreon exclusive preset packs, as well as exclusive construction kits complete with MIDI files so you can get a head start on your next track. And finally, if you want personal one-on-one instruction for ambient, sound design, and music production, check out the Ambient coaching tier. I've already changed the lives of hundreds of clients, and I know I can do the same for you. So what are you waiting for? Sign up today and join us. Link is down below in the description. What's up guys, Chris here from Signs of Life. Welcome back, and in today's video, we are gonna do a beginner ambient track. You know, I see a lot of you out here who are either short on time or maybe you're short on experience. Either way, no worries. We're gonna do a beginner ambient track here. And I thought it'd be great to kind of start at the beginning. Even if you're not a beginner, you might pick up something from this tutorial. But you know, it can be helpful just to start with the basics. And I've got a PowerPoint plan. And what we're gonna do is follow along the PowerPoint and then build an ambient track from scratch. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. First things first, we're gonna start with the basics. One thing I recommend is you don't try to rush your track too fast. You need to learn your tools and embrace discovery. I see a lot of people who are taking on too much too fast. Maybe they feel like they need to get something done in a short amount of time. However, you need to embrace the discovery of it all and really try to get into the learning process and take your time with it. So that's what we're gonna do here in the tutorial. Let's go ahead and get started here. What I thought we would do, instead of starting with a synth, like we usually do, like with Vital or Pigments or something, I thought we would start with a sample, all right? So what I'm gonna do is grab a sample from my personal library. And this sample is something that I just recorded recently. It's called Particle Glow. Now I'm gonna leave the link to this sample down below in the description so you guys can download it, right? Now, even if you're not working in Ableton Live, you might be working in a DAW that has a sampler in it. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drag the sample onto the track here, and it's gonna create what's called a simpler. This is a Ableton Live instrument, which is just a basic sampler, right? So even if you have a sampler like in Bitwig or Logic or something, you can just use that, all right? So let's go ahead and just create this little pad here with this Particle Glow sample. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put it into loop mode. I can adjust the brackets for this and kind of tighten this up. I'm gonna leave it on snap. I'm gonna add some voices here. Maybe we'll do like 8 voices. And I'm going to increase the fade, which is going to allow us to play like a textural long sample here, right? And that's good. Now, I'm gonna point your attention down here at the bottom. We have the A, D, S, and R. Now, you guys hear me talk about this a lot in my videos, the attack, decay, sustain, and release, right? So the attack is how fast the sound is coming up. So we're gonna adjust our attack to around 5 seconds here. Let's go ahead and make it about 5 seconds. And we'll just do the same with the decay. 4.5, 5 seconds, anywhere around there. Lower the sustain down a couple decibels. That's the overall volume it's gonna settle at. And add some release here. We'll add like maybe 6 seconds of release. Cool. So now go ahead. We're playing in D minor here today. You can go ahead and play a key and you'll hear that sample. Sounds good. It's a sample of my Hydrosynth through my pedal board over here. Obviously, it's sampled the note C3. I'm playing in the key of D minor, so if you want to follow along, I'm just playing some D notes here. And when I let go of the keys, you can hear the release stage kicks in, right? So that sounds good. I'm really happy with that, all right? So let's go ahead and lower our overall tempo down to like, I don't know, somewhere around the mid to lower 80s, maybe like 81 beats per minute. That should be good. Okay, let's go ahead and settle there. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add some effects to this. But before we add some effects, I'd like to point your attention to the filter module here. So we have a filter down here at the bottom, right? Your sampler may not have a filter. If it does, cool. Mine does, and it has a 12 or 24 dB filter. Now the 12 dB filter is kind of what we're after. 24 is a much steeper slope, which is gonna cut off a lot more of the sound. So let's just switch it on to 12, and we're gonna lower the frequency down to around, I don't know, 3,000 kilohertz here. Nice. Add some resonance. Again, if you don't have a filter on your sampler, you could use an EQ or something like that. Just do a simple low pass on the EQ. Great. Now there's different filter types here in the sampler. We have clean, OSR, MS2. You can experiment with those, find out what works the best, what sounds the best to you. Some of them have different model types. Good for different instances. I'm gonna go with clean just because it's modeled after the EQ8 filters. I like those. But this sounds good. Loop is on, snap is on. We got some fade here, like we're good to go, all right? So now let's go ahead and add some effects. Now, what we can do is we can use some stock effects. I'm gonna use a combination of stock effects and some free effects here. So for stock effects, I'm just gonna grab the simple Ableton Live delay plugin, right? The classic delay here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that over here, and I will turn my camera off so you guys can see this. But here on delay, you can see that we have all these different numbers here. Now, what do these numbers mean? These numbers are divided into 16th notes. So this is 1 16th note, 2 16th notes, 3, and so on and so forth, right? So you divide this up, so like this would be like 1/4 note, right? And these delays are linked here. You can see that there's a little link button in the middle. I'm gonna leave that on for now because I'm just gonna use the number 3, and that's 3 16th notes, which equals a dotted 8th. And that's exactly what we want, right? So we're not gonna change this too much. We're just gonna kind of lower this down a little bit. You can filter it out. As you can hear right away, we get a lot more vibe to our particle glow here. This is sounding good, right? So again, you can unlink this and make different delay times. That might be what you want, right? Which sounds kind of cool. I like that. Oh yeah, but right now I'm just gonna keep it linked. Dotted 8th notes. Stick with the basics, right? Cool. I'm gonna turn myself back on. There we go. All right, great. Now let's go ahead and add a reverb, all right? And we're gonna add everyone's favorite reverb here. We're just gonna add the classic Valhalla Supermassive, right? So I'll go ahead and just play Valhalla Supermassive. Now, I like to make my own presets with Valhalla Supermassive. There's some great ones out there. Caspia on Material just got released. I'll go ahead and put that down below in the description. However, we're just gonna build our own preset from scratch here. I'm gonna go ahead and switch the mode here to one of those really deep ones like Libra or Scorpio is good. Also the Great Annihilator, that's like the OG. So let's go to the Great Annihilator here. And what we're gonna do, first of all, we're gonna add some mix, right? So we're just gonna add a little bit more mix than 50%. Maybe we'll go like, I don't know, 75%, right? Push the envelope here. We're gonna add a healthy amount of delay. So we're gonna add some longer delay here, and then we're gonna crank the warp. So we're gonna crank the warp up near 100%. And same with the feedback and same with the density, right? So now we've got a real big delay here. I mean, real big delay reverb. This is a delay and reverb combo, right? But we can lower down the mod rate and then lower down the depth of the mod. We don't want too much. And then we're gonna kind of sneak the EQ back, you know, a couple thousand hertz and then up the low. And that should be good. Are you ready to play this? I'm gonna go ahead and just play this right now. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You can adjust the mix to taste here if you're not getting enough signal, right? Either way, that's a great way to start our track, right? We can adjust our filter, let more of that high frequency out. Oh, that's gorgeous. That is absolutely gorgeous, right? Go ahead and put that through the pad bus. There we go. So from one single sample, we added some delay on there. We added Valhalla Supermassive. Like, this is great, okay? Now, here's where the rubber hits the road. What are you gonna do when it comes to actually playing the track? So let's switch over to arrangement view here. Let's just name this the particle glow pad. Particle glow. And what we're gonna do is we can make like say 32 bars of MIDI here, all right? Now, I recommend that you either record your MIDI in like just however you feel, so you can play naturally, right? Or draw it in, up to you, okay? So let's go ahead and draw it in. Turn off our fixed grid here. You've seen me do this 1,000 times, so I'm gonna do it again, okay? Just gonna draw these notes in, all right? Just be free with it. Don't think about too many things. Again, this could be you recording it from by hand. Great. Switch the chord completely, up to you. I like that. There we go. Great. Okay, cool. That should be good right there. Okay, great. So now we got some notes in. We got our particle glow pad going. Oh yeah. Excellent, okay? And that's all there is to it. So we're not gonna think about it too much. We're just trying to get something laid down as a foundation so we can add something else on top of it, all right? Now for that, let's go back to our PowerPoint. We're gonna establish our track with some bass. Bass is often overlooked, but can really take your track from beginner to next level. I see a lot of ambient tracks out there from beginners that are just kind of lacking in the lower region in bass. So I think if you add a good solid bass, which is again, often overlooked in ambient music, it can really take your track to the next level. So let's go ahead and make one, all right? So we're gonna use Vital for the bass here because I think everybody has Vital and it's a great instrument to use for bass, right? So let's use Vital here, and what we're gonna do is use wavetables from the factory library, okay? So let's go ahead and go to the factory, and we're gonna go to perhaps basic shapes, all right? We'll just start with basic shapes. Now you can start with say a square wave or a sawtooth. Those are also great starting points. The sine wave is also good too. Let's go ahead and just start with a sawtooth here and filter it out. Now, bass is interesting because with bass, you really wanna be mindful of how you're filtering it, how much of the frequency you're filtering, right? We talk about this a lot in my main tutorials, but really it comes down to your own personal taste. How do you want the bass to sound? So what I'm gonna do is switch the filter here. I'm gonna turn it on and switch it to 24 dB, which is a much steeper filter as I mentioned earlier, right? Let's go move this filter down so we get a nice deep bass sound. And you can hear as I pull this filter up, right? You let more of the high frequency out. But if I'm down here, it says I'm at -20 semitones. That's a nice deep sound, right? I like that. Now, if you look over here at our oscilloscope, this is the kind of waveform we're getting. We're gonna get filtered sawtooth, which is basically turning into a sine wave, right? However, when I add some voices of unison here, we get some motion, all right? If we lower the detune amount, we get some slower motion. This is good, okay? If I lower down the note even further, that's kind of what we want, right? We want something really nice, slow, but still moving, right? So let's go ahead and play this bass sound with our brand new particle glow pad. Oh yeah. I like that. Excellent. So let's go ahead and add another element to our bass. We're gonna add some more from the factory library. We can add maybe 3 graces here is really good. I like this one. We can add this as like 3 sawtooths, you know what I mean? Like we could do that. Oh yeah, that's really good. So what we can do is we can also put this through oscillator through the filter. So what I mean by that is you have these 2 buttons down here, oscillator 1, oscillator 2. So we can go ahead and put this also through oscillator 2. And now you can hear, that's the combination of 3 graces and basic shapes. However, we're not done yet. What we're gonna do is we're going to put some motion onto 3 graces. Now we can put some random motion here. We can switch this to like, I don't know, 1 bar and drag this up to the position of this, right? Now what we can do is switch the modulation to down. So now we get some full modulation here. Oh yeah, there we go. You see that? So I've added some random modulation onto the position of 3 graces, which is really helping us. Okay. We can also add some motion to this filter right here. What we can do is switch this LFO to sync mode, right? And we can drag this to like maybe 4/1. And we're gonna drag this handle right here over to the filter, okay? And then lower down its influence by lowering this wheel right here that gets created. You can see that wheel when I hover over it, okay? There we go, nice. So not only do we have some random motion on the wavetable position of 3 graces, but we have a nice sort of triangle LFO here, okay? Now let's play that with our pad. Great. Excellent, nice. Now, one thing we can also do is we can take that same reverb that we created before, and I can click it and drag it over to my bass sound, all right? Now here's the important thing, is you don't want to use the same mix level that you had on the pad. So we're gonna lower the mix down to like only like 10 to 15%, right? But if we go ahead and play this with that pad now, listen to this. It's got a little bit more presence, doesn't it? Oh yeah, that's nice. I love it. Okay? Excellent. So you can hear that now we're really, if we switch the note here, oh my gosh. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. Awesome. So let's go ahead and draw in some of these bass notes. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do like a longer line because I can see that I've made some motion here. So the bass note is kind of gonna follow what I've done. Your mileage may vary. You might have a different thing going on with your track, and that's okay, right? So I'm just gonna go ahead and lay this 0 note in, switch this to 1 bar, go lay that first note in, right? And we're gonna go to 13, and then I like this note. This was a A0. Okay. Nice. All right. Good. Yep. And then it'll be that. Oh yeah. Very good, very good, very good. Okay. We'll leave that for that, and then this will go back to this. Cool. This looks good. Okay, I'm liking this. I'm liking this. We'll just have a simple movement here. Nothing crazy. Excellent. That's a good start. Label this our bass sound. Okay. So we're off to a great start with our track here. All right, let's go back to the PowerPoint here. Now that we've established our track with bass, we can move into sequences, right? You can get that thing going and you can start. You have 2 elements here, just 2. But sometimes that's all you need to establish your track. And now you can start sprinkling in some sequences. Hear that? When the bass changes with the pad. Love it. All right. So sequences don't have to be complicated. You can start with simple 4 or 8 note sequences to get a rhythm going, right? It doesn't have to be like overly done. It can just be very simple, straightforward. That's all you need, right? So let's go ahead and do that. All right. Let's go ahead and make a simple sequence here. Nothing too crazy. All right. Let's go ahead and just draw in a sequence by hand. But what we're going to do is create obviously a patch to go with our sequence, right? So we'll create a simple pluck here in Vital, right? Again, the same process as our bass, really, okay? Like same process, but we're gonna add a little bit more to the ADSR to make it an actual pluck, okay? So what we're gonna do, turn on the filter, all right, down here at the bottom, and we're going to go ahead and take the sustain out of our ADSR. This is envelope 1. This is our initial volume ADSR, right? We're gonna lower the decay down to like, I don't know, half a second, okay? That'll be good. So if I press the key, okay, you can hear, I get something simple, right? But because I've lowered that filter down already, you can hear, that's how much frequency I'm letting out, right? Now, that's cool. We can do that, all right? That's great. And what we can do is add another envelope. So click on envelope 2 here, and we get a second envelope. Let's lower the sustain out of this one and lower our decay down to like, I don't know, half that. So 2.3 seconds, okay? Around half. And we'll drag this handle over to our filter. You've seen me done this 1,000 times. But if you never have, then great, this is your first time, okay? So we can go ahead and lower the amount down by using the wheel right here. So lower its influence down, okay? And we can up our resonance here by using the right-hand slider, just like this. And now, okay, we have a nice good pluck, all right? That's a good start. That's just a filter sawtooth wave. Doesn't have to be crazy, all right? Let's go ahead and add oscillator 2 to the filter, again, by just clicking this button right here, all right? And we'll go ahead and turn on oscillator 2 by clicking this button up here, which is the round circle button next to oscillator 2. And we'll go ahead and go to the factory library. Now, one of the sounds that I like in here, maybe we'll use classic fade. That might be good, right? So we'll go ahead and use classic fade, okay? Now we have these, you can hear, we have 2 oscillators going through this single filter. Now again, we can use that same delay sound that we picked up earlier that we created over in Particle Glow. So we can take delay and we can control, click, and drop it right here after Vital, right? So now you can hear that when I play this key, okay? Right? We get a nice good delay sound. Now it's a little too much feedback on that delay, so we can lower our feedback down. This is a great time to actually show you guys how to control the feedback. So you can control the feedback here by using this. Okay? That's how many repeats you're gonna get in your delay. Okay? Lower down the dry wet. Okay? You can actually put it in ping pong mode right here. So it goes left to right in your ear. That's kind of cool. I like that, right? Again, it's still going a little bit too long. So we can lower the feedback down, increase the dry wet. That should be good. All right, great. Cool. So now we've created our delay here. I'm going to turn myself back on. All right. And we've created our delay. And what we can do is add a little bit of reverb to this over here by taking the same instance of Supermassive. Once again, we'll do one more Supermassive. Control, click, and drag. And we'll drop it right here on the track. And we'll lower down the mix of this to like, I don't know, 20%. Excellent. All right. So now we've got a really big delay happening, right? We can lower down the feedback a little bit, lower down the density. But that's good. I like that, okay? Cool, excellent. All right, so now let's play our track. And this sequence can probably come in right here around bar 17. Now, like I said, 4 or 8 note sequences don't have to be long, they don't have to be complicated, all right? So let's go ahead and create a MIDI clip here, all right? And we can go ahead and make this 8th notes, all right? And we'll find a note that we want to start with, okay? And we can go ahead and just punch in these notes. If you turn on the headphone button right here, you can hear what you're punching in. There we go, nice. Yes, nice. So you saw that all I did was just punch in that sequence, just one note after the other, just simple. But because we did all that work with the delay, it really all came together, right? Oh yeah. I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. All right, cool. Let's switch this to the bass bus. Switch this to the synth bus. All right, great. So you saw how quickly that pluck came together, right? Let's just reiterate this real quick. We had the initial sawtooth, the classic fade, okay? Some extra touches would be, you know, using an LFO here. Again, putting the LFO in sync mode, right? Sync mode on this LFO, lowering it down to like, I don't know, 4/1, dragging it over to our cutoff, lowering down the influence of this by hovering over this knob until it says LFO1, and then lowering that knob down until we get a nice, subtle, you know, amount of modulation here. And then you can hear the sound starting to increase. Classic stuff right there, right? Classic fade, classic stuff. We're rolling, all right? Cool. So now we've added a sequence onto our track, okay? Let's go back to our PowerPoint. Once the foundation is set, you can take your track in any direction. Remember, it's your art, okay? It doesn't need to sound like anyone else, so don't judge yourself. Just keep on pushing the track forward even when you feel stuck. Your next big breakthrough could be coming up very, very soon. So this is what I'm talking about. Simple solutions to create simple foundations, right? That's all we were doing here today. But if this is your starting point, this is a great starting point, right? We started with particle glow. Then we moved to a bass, and then we went to a sequence, right? So it's just those 3 elements, and sometimes 3 elements is enough to kind of say, well, wait a minute, how much more could I add here? What else could be, you know, can you start to see the forest through the trees here, right? The bass line can continue. The pads can become more complicated. You can add another pad to complement that original pad, right? There's so many things you could do to further this track down the line. But now that you've seen me do it and I've walked you through the process, the rest is up to you. And that's the beauty of it, right? So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial. I know it was very simple, but at the same time, maybe simple is what you need. And that's what I'm here for. Anyway, I'll be back again soon with more tutorials just like this. And maybe we'll continue this one on. You know, that'd be cool. Like we could do take this track, we started it, and then we'll push it on down the tracks. You guys have been great. Thanks again for watching. And yeah, let me know how it went in the comments down below. I love hearing from you guys, all right? Take good care, and as always, keep your heads in the clouds and your feet planted firmly on the ground. My name is Chris from Signs of Life. I'll see you guys in the next one.